Share screen. So what are we going to do? Talk about the three brains, the head, the heart, and the gut. The art of aligned decision making. And why is it in my view so important? When I go to the, it's always nice that somebody calls me, probably says van, oh, can I also enter the workshop? I have to do a different share, because if I do this share, you don't see what's happening. Now I have to find my button again. How do I stop this share? I love new computers. There it is, stop share. You have to do a different kind of share. Basic, desktop, keynote presentation. If you do a desktop, you see everything. That's not handy, so I do this one, share. So what are we going to do? We're going to talk about three brains and saying sorry for interruptions. And to share some food for thought, but also sparked me already, I would say 16, 17 years ago after I recovered from a burnout. And I thought, how is it possible that as an experienced coach and trainer, I can have a burnout? I eat healthy, I do my sports, I do my exercises. What the hell is happening to me? And on that moment, I came aware that actually I forgot two essentials when I started to do all the kind of studies and therapies to get me over it. And Bessel van Kolk describes it so beautifully in his book. And I have to admit, and for some odd reason, I have to do a stop share then, sorry for that. Food for thought is that all our memories and all our life experience are somewhere stored in our viscera. That's also a different name for your belly. And it collects all the heartbreaking, gut-wrenching emotions. And it can create autoimmune disorders, skeletal muscle problems, and all kind of other kind of issues. So if that's really true, it should change the way we approach coaching or therapy. And that somewhere sparked a light to me 16 years ago from, hey, I thought I had everything organized and somewhere I could have a burnout. And my body was doing something else. And when I went to, say, a somatic therapist, he said, Chris, you don't listen to your feelings. And I said, I do listen to my feelings. I know I have sometimes pain, and I'm a triathlon athlete, so I know pain is sometimes good if you like to achieve. He says that, and he said, yes, that's good if you're a sporter, but not good if pain is coming, say, from just normal work. If you have emotional pain and those kind of pain, it's not healthy. And Bruce Lipton, maybe you know him, a cell biologist who wrote a book about the biology of beliefs, shares with us that the first 7 years of our life are actually essential for the rest of our life, because as they say in psychology, the imprint period, the first 7 years of our life, are just massive. 95% of our basic patterns we have about how to deal with conflict, relationships, saying yes, saying no, are somewhere imprinted there. And in his belief system is that there are only two ways really, or three ways really to change it. First is hypnosis. Secondly is repetition, 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 repetition. And as he said, did I say repetition? And the third one is some special high impact therapy that could really change you. And the fourth one is, by the way, extensive trauma or highly extensive experiments, but we don't do that on purpose. But those special interventions, he said, could be from EFT to NLP or three-brain coaching that really dives in to what we called in the old days the subconscious. Just 2 seconds about me. Who am I and why could you just listen to me or believe me? What am I? I'm just like you, a coach, PCC level, going up for MCC. I'm a visiting professor at a business school in Madrid, or organizational behavioral leadership. I'm a supervisor for coaches and for clinical hypnotherapists, and I am also a clinical hypnotherapist specialized in PTSD, trauma, nice addictions, and all the things that really are somewhere stored in previous beliefs or previous traumas. Now I can say I worked 30 years already in this field, worked with in small groups or one-to-ones with 10,000 people. So I don't count these kind of webinars, but really where I could have a personal intervention with people all around the world. Born and raised in Holland, lived 10 years in Australia, now living 2 years in Spain. And I could say I'm the founder of the 3 Brains theory and the ICF coach certification training about it. And I wrote a book about it, how men and women fit, finally understand your partner with the 3 Brains theory, in my idea to share this concept to the world. And also as an opposite, as men are from Venus and females are from Mars, or the different kind of planets. Yeah, where actually 30 years ago, the beautiful John Gray described in a little that we actually have different planets, and that's why we cannot understand each other. And I really wanted to close that gap, that we're all the same. There is no gender change. The bias, the only thing we have a little bit different is a little bit our biology. Go to the bathroom and you see the difference. That's our real difference. You all have a heart, gut, and head. But that's me. So what made me dive deeper? Because I came aware that although I thought I was doing amazing jobs with my clients, that they all, just like you, probably had a high happiness rating. After the sessions, after the trainings, they were extremely happy, changed some things, felt better, ticked the boxes. If you speak to them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, you come aware they still do things, but 70 to 80% is somewhere dropped off the bandwagon. And it needs to have to maybe do the nice to haves already lost. And when I did some research, I came aware that actually that's for all of us. We all have something like had to admit somebody, that's why you changed the screen, and that we all have something like a success rate, so not a happiness rate, below or 50%. If you're a psychologist, you're doing even worse than us coaches. If you're a therapist in different kind of fields, you have somewhere the same success rate. And this is research coming from IBM, Gallup organization, McKinsey, psychology by psychology organizations, and business coaching also by independent research. So if you ask ICF, our success rate is 80 to 90%. That's something else, a success rate in massive changes on the long run. I have to be honest, ask all your clients after 5 years, what do you still do from what you learned in our coaching? And you come aware that they still learned maybe some profound changes, but a lot of things are just off the bandwagon. It's not because we're bad, but it's just hard to change. Because those first 7 years are hard to change. And I will tell you already, a spoiler alert, that is because our first 7 years are not stored there. Mostly, our first 7 years are stored there. We'll come back to that later. And if you think about life, I don't know of you who once did hypnotherapy, and sorry, NLP, sorry, I have to admit somebody else again, so I have to change the screen. But in NLP, they love to shout, scream from the podia, decisions are the core of everything. And although I don't like the screaming way of NLP, although I study it and teach it, it has one core element in it that's totally true. Everything we do, if I pick up the glass or change my screen to admit somebody, it's a decision. I can make a decision not to admit that person, or I can make a decision to change my screen so that person can be admitted. And the question is, how do we make those decisions? Where are they coming from? Now, and there's a little teaser, and probably, and if you know it, then don't spoil it right away. But just imagine you're going to work for a company. And in that department you're going to work, they have 2 managers. It's the same job, only based on the size, they have 2 managers or 2 bosses, whatever you like to call them. And you can choose actually for which boss you're going to work. The first boss has this kind of characteristics. He's a vegetarian, loves to go to bed on an appropriate time, is a non-smoker, non-drinker, structured, love for art, keeps his promises. Boss number 2, door 2 opens, is an alcoholic, smoker, lack of sleep, was just allowed to college, lost his father at a young age, also has a love for art, that they have that in common, and knows what's right and wrong. Now just imagine, quote, quote, based on these characteristics, you had to choose. And we will not use it against you, but just pop in the chat for one moment. what would you choose? Who would you choose, number 1 or number 2? And I said, there is no right or wrong. I'm not going to hold it against you. We're not going to share the chat from, oh, look what you said. Number 1, number 2, number 2, number 1. Okay, I see we have something like a 50-50 option. And I see more people like to have number 2. And then actually you can see the answer coming in if I do stop share, if I share again, or this already share. You can see actually that the number 1s are working for Adolf, a well-known boss, and the other ones are working for, say, Winston Churchill, also a well-known boss. And how is it possible that still some people choose for 1 and 2? Eh? So if you now think, besides this, I would say almost crazy challenge, what made you make that decision? Was it a logical thought process or during an emotional thought from, hey, you know, I feel better with this sentence or that little change in there? Was it a rational decision or more an emotional decision? I think Rebecca is hungry because she's eating her pen. Kidding. This is love. Eh? Sorry for teasing you, Rebecca, but the choice to do this is almost never a logical one. I can sit like this and now I do the logic, but somewhere it made sense to put him just there for a second. Now Rebecca shits. I was being seen. Sorry. At least we have some laughers there. But those decisions are not made from our logical head, because she knows she's been seen. She knows there's a beautiful painting behind her, and you're not going to do on purpose, except you're me, to put a pen there. And so that decision is coming from a non or subconscious part, because it was handy, easy, whatever's. And we all make those decisions, just like Adolf or Winston. So, and that made me aware. Now I have to put on my little glasses to see the question. Yes, I'm compassionate. As my students at the MBA say, Chris, you love to use everything. Now, I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, and one thing I learned from Milton Erickson is utilize everything you see in a session to make it also normal, and use it as an advantage for the whole thing. Because everybody sometimes does crazy things. I do them many, many, many times because I don't think and I just act. And it is not a bad thing, because everything is coming from a positive, good intention inside us. The only effect is that sometimes it influences people as we're not aware of. And so everything we do is amazing because something inside you says, this is the best option on this moment. There are no wrong decisions. A wrong decision is only there when you have feedback from the results of your decision. Then you come aware, oh, this was smart or not so smart to do. But there is no decision we make that actually is coming from, hey, let's start to fail. Everything inside you says, this is the best decision for this moment. So we can laugh about it because in that moment, it was the most efficient way to do so. So where are those decisions coming from? And probably just like me, you had something like, you know, I learned to work in the conscious mind, hoping to change the subconscious mind. And for years and years and years, I shared this picture. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. But all the teachers who were teaching me that, they always ask, where is the subconscious mind located? Where is it actually? And actually, none of them could really give me an answer. Sometimes they said, yes, a part in your brain here. Some people said it's something like a collective intelligence that is not seen. Or, hey, you're not aware of what's happening. And said, it's beautiful, but if I'm not aware of it, who is making the decisions? Because somebody has to make a decision inside me to do it. Now, and there, 16 years ago, I came aware that your body can make decisions. So that moment was still the body. And later, when I started researching more, I came aware there were 2 amazing researches done that showed actually we have wisdom, or actually brains inside our body that have all the characteristics of brains. That means they can memorize, they can make decisions, And they have gray matter, white matter, dendrites, ganglions, and all the kind of stuff you find inside your beautiful head, but also find them somewhere else. And when I became aware of that, I thought, could this be the answer? Could this be that subconscious mind? And actually, that was true. One of the founders of those different brains is still alive, and I chat sometimes with him. He's almost 85. Michael Gershwin, the writer of the book The Second Brain. And he shared a lot of things. So I don't know how it's with you, but I learned this a long time ago. We have 3 brains inside our beautiful head. One is the reptilian brain, one is the emotional brain, and one is the neocortex, the human brain. I will not ask who also learned the same, but I learned it. It's much more who still believes this. Because scientifically, I'm going to give you a real disappointment then. Scientifically, it's not true. Scientifically, this is CREP, crap. Why is that? Because even a reptilian, so your beautiful snake outside in the garden, or the lizard, has in his DNA or her DNA, the setup to create an emotional brain and a neocortex. And they have even a little tiny slicey part of it. If they had a different kind of switch on of the DNAs, of the genes inside the DNA, I mean, they would have a big head just like us. But they don't, because the genes get a little bit different switched on. But their whole genetic setup can create the same as we. Now, if they can create the same as us, that means there is no reptilian brain, there is no emotional brain, there is no neocortex, based on evolution as they said in the past. There were first reptilian brain, then after that an emotional brain came, and then after that came a human brain. It was already there from the start. And it's not me who says it, it's also neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett. In her last popular book, 7.5 Lessons of the Brain, or about the brain, she shares against this. Based on research, it just shows it's not true. So if that's not true, and we all have the same, and we have some of the same capacities gene-wise as a reptilian, then who's actually in charge and what's happening with us? And what is actually the difference between a lizard and us? Now, to give that answer, I will just introduce you with one of our ancestors. It's not really an ancestor, but the setup is the same as our ancestors. It's still alive and it's still in the sea. So I'm just curious, and you can put it in the chat or somewhere else. What kind of little animal is this? What kind of little animal is this? Now, I say an animal is actually a living creature. I have to be honest, it's not an animal officially. It's a living creature. It lives in the sea. But we all are somewhere coming from this kind of setup 500 million years ago. So 500 million years ago, now this one probably 450 million years ago, we're living in the sea, and they were our ancestors. And sea slug, you're almost right, Julie. It's a friend of the sea slug. I don't think they have friends. Well, I'll give you the little answer. A sea cucumber. Okay. We have a high 10, we have a score. We can give a big applause to this biologist knower, a sea cucumber. What is now so amazing about the sea cucumber? It looks like a cucumber. It's a live, living creature. It can eat, it can poop, it can move away from enemies. It can spit some poison out if it needs, or ink. It has everything to do so. But now a question, what is it missing? What does this living creature, not NOT, have? Bam, 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 bam. Silence there. You can read it as an bone-like pieces. A brain like ours, absolutely. It's not so beautiful as us. It doesn't have a brain. An high 10 for that. It's missing something else. Besides a brain, this one, besides our head, what's missing more? There's an intestine, a stomach, a little mouse, a heart. Nikki, You're there. This living creature does not have a heart or not a gut, a head. So now the question, if we can have living creatures in this world all around us who are not possessing a heart or a head, then now let's change the question. What would be then our main quote decision-making unit if you had to choose now, head, heart, or gut? Which one will always override? Which one can we not live out without? The answer is your gut, because you can be brain dead, go to the hospital, they put you on some little kind of devices, and you're still alive. Look at now Michael Schumacher for years and years. If your heart is not working, they can put you on a machine and let your heart beep, and you're still alive. What part can they not put on a machine to make you alive almost? That is your whole intestines, your whole digestive system. We're all in this world as living animals to consume some energy or food and get it out. Our main original source is actually our gut. So if you now think about that one, and you think about our three brains, then what is actually, now let's bring it back to coaching, what are the needs and what does it do? Well, why do we have them? Now, as I said, Michael Gershwin wrote the book, The Second Brain, and he discovered, after 30 years of research, we have something like 500 million neurons. You can also read brain cells underneath your diaphragm. And what is the use of them? One, of course, your digestive, to keep your digestive system in track and on track. Secondly, actually the same as the sea cucumber. It has a lust for life and a need to survive. Your gut is there actually in its decision-making to keep you alive. Everything your gut feeling shows you or gives you in sensations is all insights. What is good for me and how do I stay alive? What is good for me? And if you think about the sea cucumber, it makes sense. So how much social awareness has a sea cucumber? How much social awareness has a snake? How much social awareness has a lizard? None. They're not in a social community. They don't go to the cafe in the weekend and don't socialize with their friends. They're all by themselves because they need to survive. And if we transfer that to us as human beings, that means to establish personal success, to get somewhere power, control, so we can easily survive. Being number one in the company gives you actually the most part of control, so the highest possibility of survival. If you make it simple. What are the resources your beautiful gut system has, and my gut system has? It produces, as a huge factory, almost all the neurotransmitters that are also there. Everything your limbic brain can produce, your gut can do the same. It creates more than 90% of all the serotonin in your body, your happiness. It creates more dopamine than you can imagine. It creates more cortisol to give you energy than you can imagine. It can create more adrenaline and norepinephrine than you can run massively, and creates massive benzodiazepines to relax and soothe the pain you have. It can do everything for you to let you function. And of course, there's a nerve system also to communicate. How does it communicate with you? Or I would say, what kind of sensations are you becoming aware of? That is a fear, so you can run away, you can flight. It can have a sensation of anger and rage, so you can put on a fight. Lust and desire, otherwise there will not be reproduction of us. It can have a sensation of hunger, so you eat and drink. And it has this sensation of disgust, to protection, you don't eat or drink the wrong stuff. And those, I will call them sensations, not always emotions. That's how we can perceive them. That's how it helps us. But this is actually what your gut is doing. So if people are in this state of fear, anger, rage, lust, desire, hunger, disgust, you actually know on this moment, their gut is dominant and is actually now in charge for this moment. And it can also be in communication. You know, I'm totally pissed off of this guy. You know, your client, your coachee is not talking from a gut system. You know, I really need to have my career done, Chris. Nearly, I need this for me. Okay, you can hear somebody's talking from the gut. And there is no negative about it, because everything comes from positive intention. It's just how that on that moment the gut perceives, I need to take action. Your heart brain is discovered in the same period of time, actually earlier by Dr. Amour, a neurocardiologist. Already in the 60s, 70s, he became aware that there were brain cells lookalikes around the heart. He didn't have the equipment to measure it and to see it really. In the 80s, he really came aware with the new devices, they are actually neurons, they are brain cells. He called it the little brain on the heart. And he wrote a research document about it in the 90s, where he introduced the little heart, the little brain in the heart. And he came aware also in research that what does our heart want and what makes us a difference with the lizard. Now, one of the main differences we have as reptiles is that we are warm-blooded. We have 4 heart chambers, a lizard has 2. You could say, what's the main difference about it? It means we need much more energy. It means we have a different kind of metabolism. It means we have a different kind of way of operating. Also, when we came to this world really as mammals, where it is much more warm-blooded, most mammals live in groups or have a social community around them. And there, hence it starts the belonging part. If you think about why belonging is such an extremely deep ingrained inside us, and just think about the moment, I don't know who's a mom, dad, granddad, or grandma here, but when you became parent, how independent was your little boy or girl? A giraffe can run within 30 minutes. A zebra can run within 15 minutes and save their own life. How long did it take your little boy or girl to run and make him or herself safe? Was it a little bit longer than half an hour? I see Catherine nodding. Yes, according to my sister, it took me at least 5 years to be independent on that part. I've got an older sister. We humans are totally depending on our caregivers to survive, like most mammals are. Every zebra lives in a big group to protect them. Even elephants live in big groups for protection. And everybody takes care of the little offspring, the aunties and other kind of elephants. We love to belong. And the highest need is to be connected. Hence, if you did the 3 brains preference test, you will become aware that probably your heart score is the highest or the second highest, just after the head brain. Most coaches have a head brain, heart brain score. And then somewhere down, a gut brain score. How does your heart brain communicate with you? And it has something amazing that science did not know. It produces actually oxytocin. And oxytocin is the love hormone. What was always thought only was produced here. That's why you feel love in your heart. It also has dopamine, the reward and learning drug, and neuroperiferinine to put you in action. Besides the boom, 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 boom communication, because every boom, 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 do you know what happens? 7 milliseconds after the boom, boom of your heart, your amygdala, what was always called in old science, the regulator of emotions, gets information from the heart and sparks up. The heart communicates to the amygdala, I'm now at ease, I'm now in stress, I'm now, say, in heart coherence, I'm not in heart coherence, do something. The heart gives actually instructions to the amygdala to change the hormone, the neurotransmitters set on that moment to regulate the whole body. 7 milliseconds later, after your heartbeat, your amygdala gets information and sparks up based on the instruction it gets from the heart. Electromagnetic energy, your heart can be measured, the energy of that, up to 3 to 9 meters outside your body, depends what kind of research she shows and reads. And we really can feel the energy of the heart of somebody else. And of course, we have a nervous system that communicates. Communication or sensations we feel, love, acceptance, understanding, and compassion. Essential, otherwise we would never listen to all the stories of our clients. We heard already for 10 times from other clients. We wouldn't have passion, happiness, and inspiring enthusiasm to work with them. Sometimes, of course, we have aversion, hate, and sadness to protect us from the ugly guys and girls in this world. Guilt and shame to bring us back in the group, because we cross some boundaries. And your heart is where the values of good and wrong are seated. And somebody still likes to admit the room, okay? Let's say yes to that one. That's what your heart does. And so now you see, actually, your gut is for me, your heart is for us. And right away, you can already now think, oh, wow, we have two different objectives, authorities in our own body. What does that mean if we make decisions? Now, then we add a third entity in there, and that's your beautiful head. Our beautiful head, I will not say it's not important, it's extremely important. 100,000 million neurons or brain cells, more than stars in the Milky Way. It's a beautiful, amazing thing that we have here in between our ears. 1.5 kilo for most of us, and a dazzling capacity. Every neuron has 5,000 connections at least. Now do the math and you come aware there are more zeros than even Jeff Bezos has on his bank account. What does it like to do? Predict the future. And why you think, why is that? Then just imagine for 1 second, just think about it. Why do we have memories? Why would we like to remember what happened 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? What's the use of that? Especially when you think that this beautiful thing in between our ears takes 20 to 25% of our oxygen and energy consumption. If you add your heart and your gut, you can up to 30 to 40%. So your brains take up to 40% of your energy consumption on a daily basis. So if you like to lose weight, don't go to the gym, just think louder. You know that a chess player who does competition, a real great chess player, can burn up to 6,000 calories during competition. So stop going to the gym, start playing chess, and you lose weight before you know. And why is that? Why would we burn so much energy? Because losing all your energy diminishes your survival chances. You can run less fast away from your predator. It only makes sense if you can predict that what you're going to do is smarter than your other fellows around you. So you have higher success chances. So predicting the future is why we have all those memories in our head. And actually all the memories in our body. Because it helps you to do a better job. It helps you when I pick up my tea, now I see that somebody else also picks up a glass, that they know I've touched it, I think I will not burn my lips now. Yeah, think yourself thin. Absolutely, Silvana. Now we can start a fitness program on YouTube. Think yourself slim. Love to join that one. Predict the future. So what does your beautiful head want to do? Provide the right prediction. And if you think, is that true? And just imagine those moments you were anxious. You had to do a massive presentation for a client. You have a hard meeting with a client. You had something really exciting to do with a lot of things on stake. How did you sleep? Could you stop your mind of thinking? No, because your mind, your whole body said, shit, tomorrow I have shit. That's your gut brain, eh? Gut brain toxin shit, as Michael Gershwin says. Tomorrow I have an extremely important meeting. The stakes are high. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say A, B, C, D. And then you go to your bed and you think, is A, B, C actually the right thing? Or should I say A, B, D, C, and then E? Oh no, maybe I should add an F. And your mind cannot stop thinking. Why can your mind not stop thinking? It got information from up, down. I like to give the right prediction for tomorrow. The pity is There is no right prediction for tomorrow. It's like the weather forecast. It's all, at least I'm coming from Holland, the weather forecast is always changing. They say beautiful weather, next day you have rain. They say rain, you have clouds. So your head is always busy. You cannot stop your head from giving the right prediction if you're anxious. Everybody who's depressed or was depressed knows your brain does not stop about thinking, why did it happen? What did I do wrong? What should have been different? What would have happened if I had done this? Your brain cannot stop thinking as the information from downstairs, give me an answer. What does it do? And this is extremely, extremely, extremely important for coaching. It has two things your heart and your gut brain do not have. It has, as the only thing in your whole body, a knowledge about yesterday and tomorrow. Your heart does not know yesterday, your heart does not know tomorrow. Your gut the same. And the second thing is, we have language. Your heart and your gut talk in sensations, in feelings, in that crunchy feeling in your stomach that twists, your gut that is cringing, your heart that is beating faster. That is the communication they show to you. They cannot say, hey, big brain, I don't like this person, just take a hike. They give you a feeling of maybe a little bit nervousness. And why is it important for us, for coaches? That means if we use logic, if we use awareness, if we use language, if we don't change it, it stays here. We have to go somewhere to change it, that we can connect and talk to the heart and the gut. Another beautiful thing of that is that actually, and we come back to that later when we talk about solutions, that the heart and the gut don't have time. It means every issue from the past we can solve in the present. Because for the heart, what happened 10 years ago is still the present. So you do not have to become a therapist to solve the issues from 10 years ago. You can now just find solutions in the present and go to the future. What we as coaches love to do and are entitled to do. What does your head do? It learns, so it can have better predictions. It understands and makes reasoning, so it makes some more logic of it. It predicts and creates, and it also loves to judge. That's right, that's wrong, because it helps to make that better prediction. Now, those are your three brains biologically. So what does this all mean when we make decisions? And I put on a poll just to see how we make decisions in this. So just imagine you're back at your company where we just chose for, with your beautiful boss. The company and the department you're working for is doing less. And if you choose boss A, it makes sense that your company is doing less because you also lost the war 80 years ago. Anyhow, you need to take action. You have 10 employees and 5 should made redundant. And I give you 4 options. Of course, there are more options, but I give you 4. The CEO had a wise decision and said, these are the 4 options you can choose from. We choose for the 5 oldest people of the team because the job is highly physical. So production-wise, it makes most sense to make those redundant. What's only the consequence if you make them redundant based on their age, based that they had already the long life, a physical job? They probably will never find a job again. They'll be unemployed. The active work life is over, and it has financial consequences. I'll come back to you later, Joanna, about your comment. You choose B, you choose for the 5 younger employees. They will probably find much easier job. Okay. There's a lot of demand for people, so it will happen easily. But it is assumably not the best for department results if you choose option B. Option C, LIFO, last in, first out, is not age related. You just choose the 5 employees who came in last. And you become aware 5 already worked more than 15 years there. 5 are entered the last 2 years based on the predicted growth that did not materialize. If you choose that option, you have 3 older and 2 younger employees in your new team. Or you choose option D and say, Chris, this is really beautiful thought of you, but I cannot make any choice of the things you just said. I open the poll. So which one would you choose? And it's all anonymous. We will not chase you for your answer. We will not make any jokes about your answer, just choose what comes up to you. And I already come aware, none of you is chief financial director. And I know this is extremely hard. Yep, 2 are there. After this comment, 2 people said, okay, let's change it. So based on all the times I did this test something like 400 times, 500 times already. In these groups, now it adds quicker. I can show you the results. Do you see the results? I just have to check if you don't see them. Okay, that is not what I want.
I think you need to take down the PowerPoint to show the result, okay. Maybe.
So this helps? No? Oh, no. Share results. Okay, share results. That helps. Okay, I love my new computer. I'm totally used of a Mac computer. Now I have a Windows computer. I'm totally lost. So this is the poll. 9 out of 10 in all the coaches choose for this. We always choose for LIFO or cannot make a choice. That hits always. And now we see some people choose for the oldest. At least they like to save the company. Because most of you don't really like to save the company if you look at this result based on the 4 options you get. And it doesn't mean you're a horrible CEO. It just means you have a big heart. Because if you now think about the questions, question A, production-wise, make the old guys redundant. Choose for the younger guys. It's really the best thing to do for the older employees and for those people. Choose for LIFO. That's actually the most honest one where you can just give it to logic, or you cannot choose. If you had only a gut brain, what would you choose? If you were a financial director, if you were, say, one of those external consultants, what would you advise?
1, I think.
Absolutely, you would choose for A. If the McKinseys come in, the Bains or whomever, they will say, okay, that's very easy. You get rid of the less productive employees. Choop, done. And there is no bad thing with it, but you need a gut brain to do so. You need actually not to think about the emotional, personal consequences. If you choose for B, you only follow your heart, but you know you're somewhere not doing the best job. And maybe you have to be the next. C is the easiest to explain to everybody. Because it looks and sounds fair. And C cannot make the choice are for the people who say, Chris, you really are a horrible external consultant. I have to say it's true. No, kidding. But this is actually how you choose, because if you had only chosen your gut or your head, you would chosen for A or option 1. So you did not only choose from your head or your gut. You didn't choose only for logic, because I gave in A already the solution. And so you come aware how we actually choose. Now, why is this so, stop sharing, why is it so important? Because our clients do actually the same, only different. And I'm going to share screen again. What does it mean? Our clients do the same. So we go through this. Our clients do the same, and how they choose is say, if we cannot make a decision, if we don't do an aligned decision, we use 3 brains. We stay reflectively loyal to an old behavior belief, even if it's not the best one. If maybe you had thought this through and really you were on the payroll and the CEO would have said, make a good decision, otherwise you're next, I could imagine that maybe your choices the next day would have been different. And I see already Julie say, yeah, absolutely. If I was be next, I would choose, get rid of those other 5 ones. And nothing bad with that. We're not become bad people. Only then we include another brain. So if we coach people, it is really important to come aware, hey, if we coach them on logic and we ask them, hey, what do you think about what's a good solution? They will use their brain to give a predictive logic answer. if you ask your clients, hey, by the way, if you follow your heart, what would you do? They choose for connection, they choose for belonging, they choose what's good for the team. And if you only ask, hey, what is your gut telling you? They go for personal success and what's good for me. So somewhere we have to align those three, because they have three different authorities, three different objectives, and three things they like to achieve in a different way. And if you don't align those three, you go following one of them, as we just saw. And there is no right or wrong about it. It just means that afterward, when we have results and the results are not great, then we like to say, oh, I should have thought this through. Oh, I really should have followed my heart because it gave some sensations. Oh, I should have followed my gut feeling in this. People then regretted that they did not listen to that other side of wisdom that was emerging from inside them. Of course, I dare to bet that you all made sometimes decisions you regretted afterwards. And when you really would contemplate about it, feel about it, and reflect on it, that 9 out of 10 of you already had the insights somewhere that maybe you were barking up the wrong tree, but did not listen to that inside voice or sensations you had. Now, and when it happens with us, it also happens with our clients. So in 3-brain coaching, we love to align all three of them. We like to communicate with all three of them. We like to bring those voices out. And I call voices or sensations or insights, whatever word you like to label on it. Now, what's the beauty of it? Jonathan, no, Demina raised a hand. Just please, I do a stop share. So then right away, I can see you. What would you like to ask?
Yeah, thank you. I have two questions. The first one is about not making a decision, not only in this scenario, but generally you have lots of clients who are not able to make decisions. And the second one, which is like, I really curious about it. What, like you're talking about alignment, but some decisions, when you think about it in different heart or mind and gut, there is a kind of conflict. So your heart wants something and your mind say, this is not good. And especially when you handle big decisions or like this one, cut off or lots of employees or a relationship even. So what do you think about this? Thank you.
Amazing, good question. Two things. One, people cannot make decisions. People cannot make decisions. Now, actually, we always decide. We make a decision not to decide. Procrastination is a decision not to decide. That's actually choosing for the I do nothing option. And if you would read my book, I write it now, you don't have to read my book, but I would say avoiding strategy, putting your head in the sand, procrastination is coming from the gut brain. It's a fear-based decision. I don't dare to choose. And if you're in a fearful situation, I make it stronger, the words, then you don't choose, then you avoid the conversation, then you avoid making a step. So most people who somewhere procrastinate have an, let's call it fear, have something like an innate sensation from, I don't dare to take a step because I'm not sure if I make the right step. And then this one says, I don't know if I make the right step. I got some sensations from downstairs. I don't know what I have to do. And somebody procrastinate. And the procrastination can also come, say, from survival reasons. I'm afraid to make the wrong decision because I have personal consequences, or I don't make the decision because it has consequences for the people around me. So I do nothing. So not choosing is choosing. So the question is, what is stopping them from really make a different choice? And if you then go into, hey, what is stopping you from making a different choice of doing nothing, of choosing not to do? There will always come an answer from, it doesn't feel right. I don't know it. You know, I need more info. So this one needs more info, or there's a sensation coming down. That's one question. The second one, the whole theory about the 3-brain coaching is actually that if you make decisions, and even it can be decision at going to the fridge while you're hungry and seeing a beautiful chocolate cake and seeing some carrots, what will I eat now? You're hungry. Will I go for the sweet, beautiful, fatty sugars, what gives an instant relief? or will you go for the carrots that give you a long-term benefit? Now, I don't know how your choices are in front of the fridge if you're hungry. Although I love to be healthy, the chocolate cake is always somewhere talking to me. Okay? So those decisions are also hard. And actually what it means our three brains are talking. So when we coach people on more serious decisions than my chocolate cake, it is actually to start communicating with them. Hey, what does those sensations you have inside mean to you? So asking the question, if they can communicate with all three brains, like, say you would follow your heart, what would you do? Say you would follow your gut, what would you do? It can happen that people cannot access it based on extremely strong beliefs. Not becoming political, but just go to America and look at the discussion about gun control. It's an extremely belief system about how people are opposed or in favor of it. And people cannot see the other side of the coin anymore. A really strong belief system stops them. The other part is a highly impactful events, what we also can call trauma. Sometimes the trauma can stop you to access that wisdom. Everybody who has been physically, emotionally, sexually abused has somewhere a slight issue with trust. Based on, say, extremely trust being broken. And so even though they know I can trust my colleagues, something inside them says, yeah, but you don't know. And in that part, we have to do something else. And the lucky thing is, even in three-brain coaching, as I said, the heart and the gut don't know past. So for them, that not trusting now, or that not feeling now, can be solved in the present, because you can solve it in the present. You don't have to go back to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. Because for the heart, it's still now. So you can do a now future coaching. That's the beauty of three-brain coaching. And we don't have to become a therapist, because most coaches don't like to step there and ICF says it's not allowed to go there. You can solve many things, and solving is not the word we use as coaches, but you can help or assist your clients to overcome it, to bypass it in the present. If you can access that brains. Now, how to access it? There are some little tricks, insights, techniques for that. One of the things that is already there is actually that when people communicate, and do a share screen, we can become aware of it partly. We can know the language, just like in NLP, what is used. When somebody says, this is a no-brainer, let's think this through, let's be logical about this project or topic, you know they're talking from their head. When you just said, people, when I think about it, what you just said in your question, it means you're in your head. And it's totally okay, because you like to understand things. So people know, okay, on this moment for the topic, they're here. If they start using words like, I have a desire for approval from others, or what most coaches love to say, I'm taking too much responsibilities for others, my clients, my family, my kids, my parents, or I find it hard to say no, and also a lot of coaches have of us, or I have to avoid rejection, then actually no, they're talking from their heart. The heart is now somewhere giving sensations that being somewhere translated here in words. And if people communicate like, it's a rat race, I have to have a career, so it's me first, or what I say and want, I say what I want, and I will not take easily other opinions or agree with other opinions, because I say what I want. That's a gut brain talking, because he or she likes to be in control. I need to succeed in what I do. I go for a 10. Also a beautiful gut brain, because if you have a 10, you're better than the rest, probably the highest chance for survival and getting there. And things must be done like I want them to be, is a beautiful control topic from the gut. Because if you can control everything, again, you're safe. So you know, when people say those kind of things, they're talking from a topic in that way. And then, as an example how that works, let's talk to the other slide. We can use it in coaching. And now I make it the easy way how we do the first step of analysis. Just imagine. And this is a real client. And to go further also with your answer, what you just said. I had a client who was apping me, Chris, I'd like to talk to you tomorrow. there's something that happened today and I really need some answers. And he shared to me, my CEO, she said to me, I like that you take a new project, a new business line of a company, because you're the most knowledgeable person to do that. Can I count you? Can I count on you? It's really important for our company and our future. And I WhatsApped him back. Of course, we can have tomorrow chat. All good. So the next day I have a chat with him and he shares right away some insights. He said, Chris, the stakes are extremely high with this project, with this new business line. If I fail, it will damage my career seriously. As you know, I'm now one of the directors. My step to vice president or maybe even the future CEO, I feel is done. He said, also, I come aware and I really feel that there is already a project team. There are people already assigned to it. And in my opinion, half of them should go out. Of course, they're not the best for this project, how I see that it should be done then. And I really don't feel good with it that I have to be the messenger of that. That I have to step in and right away get half of the team out. That does not feel like me. That's not me. That doesn't sit good. And he also said, I said, wow, a lot of things. Well, why did she ask you? She said, it makes sense. I'm the most knowledgeable of this topic. Already 10 years, it is somewhere my expertise. So it makes totally logical sense if I right away say yes. I should WhatsApp her and say yes, but I cannot. Everything inside me is crunching and whining and making me feel sick. I said, how are you doing actually now? He said, actually, Chris, I did not sleep at night at all. My head was running overtime. What should I answer? And analyzing all the things. And my CEO, she already WhatsApped me twice from, hey, you're silent. And I'm actually avoiding her. So I don't open her messages. So I leave them, say, as not opened and not seen, like I'm not there on this moment. And that's not really a good sign. So Chris, help me out. And that happens. So now if you coach somebody, still in analysis, what does happen here? If you now would put it in an analytical flow, you could say the head is in favor of the change. The head says, yes, it's logical. I'm the well-known person in this. I know it all. It's me. So what is stopping then him to say to his CEO, yes, I'm in? And then actually his emotions, his heart steps in. He does not feel good with saying to half of a team, you're out of the project. It doesn't feel good for him. As he said, I'm not that kind of guy who steps in and right away sacks half of them. He later said, actually, I'm a people person, Chris. And the other issue he had, that he was extremely fearful that would damage his career seriously if he would fail. As he said, Chris, my stomach is squeezed at one. I almost cannot keep any food in. And I will not tell you how many times I already went to the bathroom. So coming back to say procrastination, if we are fearful of something, we love to avoid. So he's now actually physically avoiding the CEO by not responding WhatsApps and all those kind of things. He's procrastinating the answer. Yeah, coming back to procrastinating. So when we coach a person like this, as I did, we did some work so he really could connect with his heart and his gut to become aware what are actually the needs of his heart. What does his heart need to say yes? What does his heart need actually to give solutions? And we also went to his gut feeling. Hey, what does his gut really need to do so? Now, when we went to there, actually he came aware that the answers of his heart was that he wanted to start with a clean sheet, with a clean bed, like we have in a hotel room. And he said, actually, I like that my bed is made before I enter the room. That would make me feel really good and make me feel comfortable with it. I said, what does it mean for this project? And actually, he came to the solution: if they already clean up the whole project team, I could step in. Somebody else takes that load on their heart, their shoulders, on their liver. Okay. And for the gut, the answer came actually that he said, I feel not fearful anymore if it's not only me on whose shoulders this one is. Although I'm the project lead, I don't like to have only my responsibility. So when we spoke about, say, okay, so what should happen, then we brought the topic then to his head. And I asked actually from who would be the perfect persons then to be part of it. And he said actually 2 of the executive board. If they are sponsor of this project, then I know if we fail, we do it in a team. And if we succeed, we do it in a team. I get, of course, all the project lead accomplishments, but I know I'm always backed up by 2 executives. When I ask them, just imagine that you now say out loud, A and B are my sponsors for this project. How does it make you feel? And he said, okay, so A and B are part of my project. They are sponsors of my project, so we're in it together. And just for the recording and for everybody, do you know what his body said? And it's really true, he let a big fart. Not lucky, not a smelly one. And he, of course, totally got red. He said, wow, what happened there? I said, no, I said, now what happened to your body? He said, it's a total release of my body. I said, I really feel almost all the tension dropping away now, I said it. Solution, he called his CEO after a coaching. Within 2 minutes was all arranged, and he ran the project, and the company's doing amazing. So in the 3-brain coaching, actually solve the other things in a different way. We like to connect with the heart and the gut in this part. Now, if you talk about solutions and successes, because it's always needed, no. If you work, say, where the topic is a topic where the heart and the gut are actually okay with it, that the head is not fine with it because it doesn't make sense, not logical, the numbers doesn't add. Then coaching, awareness, what we love to do, we create awareness, we create understanding, we create action plans. Successful for short and long term. That also is for things where the client does not, that means things the client does not have a reference for in the past. There's no emotional connection with the past. Say we're learning something new, the grow model, different kind of a tool how to share communication with somebody else. The success rate can be extremely high because it's just adding actually new knowledge here. Success is great. That's why we also as coaches have massive success, because we find a lot of solutions here. When the protector are in the heart and in the gut, then really 3-brain coaching gives the answer. Because if you're not there, he can find here a solution, but will not do it. And if you think, Chris, you're making jokes, then I would just like to challenge you for 1 moment. And I say 1 moment, but for me, 1 moment sometimes is longer. And just think about your 1st of January resolutions. That's already a long time ago. On the 1st of January, 2nd of January, you said, you know, I'm going to A, B, C, D. Maybe take more time for your family, eat healthier, sport more, stop all those Zoom meetings, etc., etc. Now it's the 17th of May. How much of your beautiful, logical designed objectives are you still doing? I can tell you based on the Strava app, that's the physical app, they say the 17th of January was this year the drop-off date. 2.5 weeks later, after beautiful intentions, most of us drop off that bandwagon and go back to the old patterns anymore. And why is that? Not because our objectives were so horrible, because your internal system said actually no. Based on all the habits, beliefs, and all the things we had. Because as I started, as Bruce Lipton say, repetition, 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 repetition creates actually a new habit. We know the law of Hebb, what fires together, wires together in creating new pathways in your brains to learn. New pathways have to be created to stick to a new habit or a new belief. Those new pathways are only coming there when you have a massive amount of repetition, or when the other option is absolutely not accessible or doable anymore. And then really change happens. And when you know that something that you always did is not accessible anymore, say it's something like you drive to your office or you go somewhere, they put a huge block in the road, you cannot access that road anymore. Then you have to bypass, take another route. Then it will happen. And you can do the same in your 3 brains. That's what you can do with 3 brain coaching. Put a huge block there. They cannot use their old habits anymore or old belief systems. They bypass it and they create new kind of connections, and it stays. If not, it is fighting with making a little channel where the water should go through while there's a big water flow somewhere else. Water always takes the easiest route. Yeah. That's how it works somewhere. Yeah. The last 15, 20 minutes, there are only 2 things I like to share. Say you like to know more. Do a share screen. You can read these books. There are only 2 books written about 3 brains. Actually, there's 1 book written about 3 brains. That's me. There's 1 book written about multiple brains by Grant Saluka. He wrote it in 2012. Pitifully, the person who lived also in Australia, just like me, died 3 years ago. There's no new resources from that. That's multiple brains. Mine is still the only one who's there. You can read The Second Brain, Michael Gerson, Trauma Memory, Body Keeps a Score. And somebody raised the hand. I just come over here. Hey, Jamana, you raised the hand again. So what would you like to ask or like to share, or like to say?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to ask a question about the habits.
Yeah.
So what you're saying that because we don't have this alignment in a way, or what we're trying, like this resolution we make is not coming to stay for a longer time. So what I'm just reflecting, if I understood you right. So by repetition, which is the mind decision in a way, to repeat intentionally this new habit, are you saying that by repeating for how long, then it become accepted by, or it comes to the alignment between the 3 brains, if I can say so?
Extremely good question. And I will answer it in 2 ways. Maybe you know Nicorette, those patches for smoking or to help you stop smoking. How long do you have to take patches? 3 to 6 weeks. An average habit dies out in 3 to 6 weeks. And the average habit. Only when it's an extremely strong habit and there is almost like an addictive inside the body to it, it can take 3 to 9 months. Of course, your body pathways are extremely strong. Why is repetition so important? If you know the law of Webb, what fires together, wires together. So when we do something as a belief or a habit, we create extremely strong neural pathways to do it, here, here, or here. That's like a really huge muscle. To train a different muscle that becomes just as strong, you have to do a lot of repetition for that. And just like if you go to the gym, you don't get right away the muscles of Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1 week. You have to do a couple of time for that. That's the same with those neural pathways you like to create. But it means you have to do it on a regular basis. It really does it. And don't fall back to the old way, because the moment you fall back to the old habit, you're actually training that again. And so you always have to stay to the new one. Like changing a toothpaste can be done in 1 week. But changing, say, your belief, I'm not good enough, I should please people, I can say no, could take up for weeks or months. The only way to do it extremely quick is to create, say, somewhere such an extreme strong emotional eruption, change, that you right away swip to the other side. If you say trauma, and that's a negative way of change, does it immediately. The moment people get, say, a massive traumatic experience, they can right away change all their belief systems. People who smoke 40 years get a diagnosis, stop right away with smoking. People who have diabetes get the message, okay, by the way, we're going to chop off your leg, poof, start losing 10 kilos of weight. Of course, then really the push is so extremely hard. Now in 3 brain coaching, we don't create traumas, but we can create, say, roadblocks that they don't fall back in the old system. But having said that, it can take between 3 weeks and 9 months if you do it just by repetition.
And it can be done not from the brain, but from the heart, for example. So we check with the client. Yeah.
Then like actually, if they feel from the heart, actually what you do just say the message, I'm not good enough. That's the heart brain one. If you like to change that, where do we store that memory? It's in our heart. That is somewhere that we learned from mommy, daddy, siblings, school teacher, that there is a conditional thing. Hey, you are if you do this. And the heart still believes it's now. Maybe daddy, mommy, school teacher said it 30 years ago, and we still believe it now. If I do this, I'm this.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So the moment you teach the heart in the now, we close that chapter. Like for the heart, it's never closed because our parents said it or a school teacher said it and never said, by the way, I just said it in the first 5 years of your life, now it's over. So the heart still believes it's there. You can now coach somebody and actually let them experience there's closure. The moment there's closure, they really think, oh, it's over, and we go to the other way. And it sounds too beautiful to be true. I always say that, but I've seen so many people in my training, but also many people I coached or even therapeutically worked with who made those massive changes. In my book, I write an example about a lady who's drinking 2 bottles of wine, messed up, and you can read the story there. And in one session, she says, I feel 1,000,000 times better. Not because I was freaking amazing, I could say I was freaking amazing, but actually I let her access that part of her that had to say no and had to close a chapter or a book actually and throw away the book. She could do that, she could throw away that book, and a lot of things just changed. Just because something that was in her heart got closure. You don't have to be a Dr. Phil for that. It takes not so much actually, because your heart is and your gut is just like the little child of 5 years old. A child of 5 years old believes that Santa Claus is real. It believes the broomstick is actually just like Harry Potter, you can fly away on it. So it believes in magic. So in the same magic that you believe in Santa Claus and brings presents through our chimney, your heart can believe it's now over. In the same childish way. So logically, sometimes I cannot understand how a client can make so many changes. But if I think not logical, but think in the perception of a child of 5 years old, it's extremely easy. It's done.
Yeah, this is lovely. In fact, I'm reflecting that sometimes people cannot achieve things or they feel like they are stuck, but they are not. Okay, they're stuck, but not because what they're doing, it's because of what they are not doing. And understanding, being aware of these 3 brains, I think it helps a lot. Even for me, I'm reflecting now and I'm thinking, maybe I need to check with my gut, maybe I need to check with my heart before just thinking that from my brain, I'm doing this.
It's a beautiful reflection, what you said, and thanks for asking. As I said, 2 things before I swap it into also. So if you like read more, read this and say, and I always say it, if you like to really do something better, join me for a training. And it's not a sales pitch because I say I do care and I don't care if you join. I give you a gift, 250 euros if you like to join for the trainings. It's now recorded. As you find it in a slide pack, there's one in June and one in September. You've got 30 CCUs, so you make also ICF and your new accreditation easy because you tick almost all your development points. It's perfect. And you can learn much, much, much more. And if you like to read it, you can go on my website or something else. The people are amazed about the qualities. And why is that? Because actually, what you just come aware, we look at all our memories from a different way, and you get extremely techniques and tools to change it on an easy way. Coming from somatic work, gestalt therapy, NLP, hypnosis, all kinds of tools that are made accessible for us as coaches. And because I did my extreme best as also being a coach to fit that in coaching. This is my presentation for the last 10 minutes. As I said, my objective is to make it for you the most amazing thing, not to sell here my training, but that you walk away and say, this was profound for me. What kind of burning questions do you still have in your head, heart, gut? Please ask. And while I put on my glasses, because I see something in the chat. Okay, some people have to leave, no questions there, but what is there? You can just ask everything. If you don't have any questions, it means I was or extremely boring, but you're still here, so it's not boring, or it was so extremely clear, or you now think, can that guy just stop talking because he's just boosting my mind? Yes, sorry for being so enthusiastic, because as I said, this is my passion, because I saw so many people change positively. And I have 3 kids, and my big wish is that they have a better world than we once entered. And if we start creating a more hard-brained society, the Putins and all those kind of creepy guys will have less place to live. And create a better world. Because up to now, and you will find it in my book, we educate people many, many ways to become gut-brain people. Every time we create or we educate them in competition, what is good for sports, let's say on the schools, we educate them to be gut-brain. And as a last thought for that, maybe you can think, why has a school 2 systems? You have a pass and fail system. And besides pass and fail, you have then also ranks from A to F in America, from 1 to 10 in Europe. Why should we have a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, or a 10 in Europe? If with a 6 I already pass. What does it mean for a kid who is 7, 8, 9, 10 years old to come aware that he comes home with a 7, is extremely proud of it, and mommy or daddy says, were you the best? No, Peter had an 8 or a 9, or Rebecca had a 10 actually. Oh, so you were not the best. No, no, mommy still loves you, even though you're not the best. Why should we educate kids from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old with that? My deep wish is that pass and fail is good enough. Because what did you want to become when you were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old? Maybe some of you said coaches, but most of us said brand, firefighter, police guy, nurse. But we already educate them that they're not the best, that they should achieve for better. And I can tell you, I passed all my high school, all my primary school. I went to the Waldorf-Steiner school. I didn't have any marks. Secondary school, I went. I had many hobbies. So my ranks were always 6. I just passed, got my exams, did my bachelor. Also went through that with success. And when I really find my passion, I really only go for doing extremely my best. It doesn't matter. As long as you follow your passion, you can do amazing. Elon Musk does not work for the money. Bill Gates doesn't work for the money. But they do amazing things. So that's my ambition. So please ask. 2 things more if you don't have questions. Do the 3 brains preference test, please. You will find also an option that you can do a 3 brains feedback session with me, 15 minutes, without any cost, without any obligations. I don't talk about my training, no worries. Why is that? I love to share the concept. If you know what it means and you start using it, you will make at least 10 people around you more happy. If you make 10 people more around you happy, we have 100 people totally signing up here for this webinar. Then already make 10,000 people more happy. Just imagine what that does for this world. So that's me. If you don't have any questions anymore, I'm totally stupefied that I all made you silent. And
no, okay, I can ask.
Finally, Julia, because otherwise, sometimes in my school, I say David also has a hand. Okay, with this big smile picture. Julia, how can I help you?
I was just trying to think of like a clear scenario, but I don't have one, so it's going to be a bit theoretical, I guess. But in the situation when one of your clients is really used to listen to one of their brain in particular, so let's say, for example, they're super logical, not really used to listening to their gut or their heart, how do you encourage them to open up to new ways of thinking?
What I always do with people, and then I come back to that, is to make, if people say in a beautiful head, we have a genetically component and an educational component. But most people who are here are actually disconnected from their body. So a lot of times you just ask, can you feel your butt on a chair? And actually, can you feel your left toe of your left foot? Can you feel now your left toe of your left foot? And people are like, what? And I let them do a somatic exercise to come aware of the body. Then I do say, okay, let's do some breathing. And I really let them do belly breathing. After 10 times, actually almost they relax their sympathetic parasympathetic nerve system. If you know that people are sometimes in one brain, it could also be the parasympathetic sympathetic nerve system is somewhere strict, because that brain is only sending out one signal. If you do regular breathing, you let the parasympathetic sympathetic nerve system relax again. Then you actually can access the body. And then a lot of times I just say, okay, put your belly for one moment, do something strange with me. Let's put our hands on our belly and let's just really feel what's happening there when we just ask this question. And 9 out of 10 people feel something. They have a sensation. It doesn't make sense. They say, no, I feel something like a crunchy feeling there, Chris. Is it a crunchy feeling? I don't know what that means, but what could it mean? And somewhere we start opening up. But quote, quote, you have to do sometimes somatic exercises for that. So there, or when people in a stress state, it means the sympathetic nerve is overactive. You have to deregulate actually the gut-brain system, what is sending out the signal, breathing or something else, it relaxes. If people are more in a worn out system, what you happen now in Zoom, you have to activate them. That means the parasympathetic nerve is more active. Most times the heart brain is totally exhausted or the adrenal glands are exhausted. So you have to push them up a little bit in energy. So we help them do some, say, somatic kind of little tricks to get them there. I call it in my training the CCT state, curiosity, compassion, and trust, to align all your 3 brains were there. So that's one of the little things.
Compassion.
Sorry, curiosity,
Yeah.
compassion, and trust. Okay. Compassion is a curiosity in your head. Okay, I'm open for learning. Compassion in your heart. Hey, I feel compassion for me and around the world. And trust is actually, I trust myself, I trust the environment, I trust what's coming up. Now, if you can create that system in your client, then almost 50% of the work is done. Okay. Because then actually he or she can listen to the wisdom that our own body or 3 brains is going to communicate. Because in ICLF, we all believe the client have all the resources inside them. They have all the answers inside them. They have. The only thing is, they're looking in the wrong room. For everybody who has to go, love to have seen you here. David, I didn't give your answer, but if you stay 1 second, I'd love to give you an answer on your raised hand. I don't mind to stay a little bit longer. For everybody else, I will send you the slides. I sent you the recording. And if you have other questions, please email me. And I'm never to, whatever's not to respond, because I love that you're interested. So David, pop out your question in those last minutes, so I can at least will not leave you with a raised hand.
Oh, it was really just about getting the recording, because this has been fantastic. If it'll come through the email through what I was getting the notifications about the session, that's fine.
Yeah. So what I do, I put it, say, in YouTube and give a link in the email to all of you so you can see it. I cut probably the beginning or the end maybe, so it's a little bit more smoothy. For the rest, I don't do anything, and it's all there, so you can all access.
It's been massive. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, David. And I said, if you have any other questions, just email me. Love to see you. And thank
certainly
you.
Will. Thank you,
Jemina, for all your questions, because you made it more lively here, and also for you, Julia, to make questions, to make it more lively. And for all the others, I wish you an amazing, beautiful day. And I would say, listen to your 3 brains from this moment onwards, because your life can only be much better. And keep on doing your freaking amazing work as a coach, because you are extremely important to make this world a better place.
Thank you. I still have some questions, so I think I will send it by email.
Perfect. I love to answer them.
Yeah,
we can always have a chat about it.